I was just hospitalized for mastitis, and I need this video to be a PSA for all mums on how fast mastitis can develop. Because I was in hospital, my husband and I haven't been doing any cleaning all week, so my room needs a bit of a clean. Let's get to all of that whilst I tell you exactly what happened to me this week. I have a bit of a to-do list. I want to change my sheets. After being discharged yesterday out of the hospital and sleeping in my own bed, I want nothing more than sleep in fresh sheets. I just want to deep clean all the shelves. All the knickknacks that we have gathered a lot of dust over the last week, and I also need to clean my makeup brushes, but a deep cleaning day is wasted if I'm not also doing laundry at the same time. Okay, laundry is on, let's change these sheets and I'll tell you what happened. One of my biggest fears is actually dropping my baby. On Tuesday, that's exactly what happened. So the day before, I was already feeling a little bit unsettled. I did feel a bit of a blocked duct, and I felt under the weather. You know when you feel like you're going to get the flu, like your back is really sore. And I remembered when we went to our birthing classes, they said to us, if you feel like you're getting sick and you get like sore breasts, you should definitely get to the doctors and get antibiotics. I'm normally a very doctor avoidant person. Like I hate going to the doctors. It always takes so long. In my mind, a doctor's office is so dirty, so I always have to do a full shower afterwards, so I usually avoid going. But this day I really felt like something was not right. I've had blocked ducts before and it just didn't feel the same. It just felt more intense. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go. The doctor actually told me you might have mastitis, but because of everything that is going around right now, everyone is sick, I might actually have the flu. So she gave me a prescription for antibiotics and she told me to go home and try to clear the blocked duct. And if it doesn't work, then start taking the antibiotics. But the key thing she said is you will feel better within 24 hours. So that's exactly what I did. Went home, couldn't clear the duct, start taking the antibiotics straight away. I also have a bit of a reservation about taking antibiotics. Okay, I swear I'm not like really weird about medical stuff. For the last couple of years, every time I take antibiotics, I feel really inflamed. I also break out a lot. And now that my daughter has eczema and because we breastfeed, I don't really want to take antibiotics because I know that it gives her an eczema flare-up. And obviously that's something that we work really hard to try to avoid. But something just told me like something was really wrong. When I was going home, it was a 10-minute walk and I was so exhausted that I could barely make it home. And so I knew I had to start the antibiotics. It's going to take 24 hours and I'll feel better. But the next morning, I could barely get out of bed. I literally felt like my body was a wet piece of spaghetti. I had to bring my baby out of our bedroom into the living room and it's downstairs, and I really was so scared I was going to drop her because I was feeling so weak. I had absolutely no strength to hold her. I had asked my mom to come help me look after my baby that day because I already knew I was feeling really sick. I was thinking maybe I was really hungry or just dehydrated because overnight I had these wild fever dreams. So I definitely had a fever overnight. So I did what any modern person would do. I put my symptoms into ChatGPT, put in everything the doctor had told me. I said that I had fevers overnight. I was feeling really weak and lightheaded. And the result literally said like, you need to go to emergency. And I was like, nah, like surely like this is exaggerated. Maybe I'll go to a GP. But I called the GP, they wouldn't take over the phone appointments. I was worried because I physically felt like I was too tired to drive myself to the doctors, and my mum's car doesn't have a car seat. But like in that moment, it was just like, okay, I had to make it work. I had to get to the doctors. So we all get into my car. I drove to the doctors in like the most slow way possible. Like it took everything out of me to get there. And when I finally see the doctor, she said, I have to call an ambulance for you. And I was like, what? Surely not. Surely this is nothing. I have been taking the antibiotics as I had been told. The doctor had insisted that I had to go to the hospital. She wouldn't let me drive myself. She said that I had signs of early systematic infection or sepsis, which is really, really dangerous. And that's why she was like, girl, you need to get to a hospital. And when we get to the hospital, they essentially told me that my blood pressure was extremely low and my fevers were extremely high. I think I am someone who has the opposite of like drama queen. I feel like the harder something gets, the least I complain about it, and I just like go within myself. And I feel like that's exactly how I ended up having a natural birth, because like I just don't say anything when things are really tough. Because at this point, I was already admitted into a hospital. I was already admitted into the hospital. They already given me a bed, and they kept coming to check up on me. And I was like, I'm feeling fine. Like, you know, I just want to go home. The doctor had told me I need to be taking drip antibiotics every 6 hours. And the nurse who was admitting the medication was really confused, because he said, he was like, I have never seen anyone need that much antibiotics for mastitis. And he told me, after this bag of antibiotics, you'll feel much better and you can go home. But when he came and checked on me, my blood pressure had not normalized and my fever was at 39, and he was starting to look so worried. And I was like, is everything okay? And he said, well, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, you're not dying, like you're not having a heart attack, but I am a bit worried. And I was like, cool. They would give me antibiotics, my temperature would get back to normal, and then a couple hours later, my fever would spike again. And this just continued for 2 whole nights. And they said they can't let me leave until I had a 24-hour period with no fevers. I wasn't scared or anything, because like if there's any place that is the safest for you to be sick, it's at the hospital. Like, that's the best place you can be. But I felt really guilty because our baby is exclusively breastfed and she refuses to take a bottle. The hospital had moved me into the maternity ward because, one, they're like the experts on mastitis, but also because they wanted my baby to be able to come and sleep and stay overnight so she could feed. But they gave her the newborn bed, and it was really funny because she is no longer a newborn. She's 7 months old, and there was no way she would be able to fit in that bed. And luckily, she has started solids, so she doesn't feed overnight anymore, which I think was actually the cause of the issue in the first place. That's why I got the blocked duct, which led to the mastitis in the first place. But Will had to bring her to the hospital every time that she needed to feed, and he was in a really busy period at work and wasn't able to take any leave. So he was coming back and forth to the hospital between meetings, before work and after work. And I felt so guilty that he had to do that. And also my parents were coming. No, I don't want to say I felt like a burden on everyone, but I felt guilty. And this is also the first time that my baby had been away from me for any amounts of period of time. At first, my baby was doing quite well, being shipped off by her dad and her grandma. I noticed on the second and third day, every time that she was coming into the room, I could hear her laughing in the hallway. But then when she saw me, she would start crying, and I felt guilty for that. But I was telling one of the nurses, and she said, you know, this is the time that you just have to trust in your support network and trust that she will be okay. And the most important thing I need to do is get better and focus my energy on that instead of worrying and feeling guilty. And it is, and I know it is true, but also like I was so thankful for like my parents and Will, because if it wasn't for them, like I honestly wouldn't know how we have gotten, how we would have been able to get through this, especially because my baby doesn't take a bottle. So if I was to have another baby, that is going to be my number one priority, is to teach her how to take a bottle. And on the third day, my blood pressure finally returned to normal. I stopped having fevers, but I was still so lightheaded. They were able to switch me from drip antibiotics to oral antibiotics, but they still wanted to keep me there just to continue to monitor me. But I kind of had a breakdown on the third day because I just missed home so much. I missed my child. I missed seeing her every day. And at the end, the nurses were like, you know what, like you seem much better based on your vital signs. But like they said, probably the lightheadedness is from being completely exhausted. Of course, at a hospital, you're not getting great sleep. It's not a hotel. So I remember every night they would come in and take my blood, and my body wasn't giving any more blood because maybe I was dehydrated or they had taken so much blood at that point that I had nothing left to give. But during all of that, like I would be sleeping through because I was so tired, which is actually so crazy. Ultimately, my experience taught me that I am so grateful to be healthy and to feel back to normal again. When you look at mastitis on Google, they say it's really painful, but I wasn't really in a lot of pain. I think I felt like the sickest I had ever felt, and you kind of know something is not right, very wrong actually. And not only being physically sick, but also being away from my baby was really hard. So I think the lesson is get medical help as soon as possible. Do not delay it. Even though I went as soon as I can to the doctors, the second doctor who called the ambulance for me did mention, oh, like that's not the best antibiotic for mastitis. I'm not blaming my first doctor at all, but I think that probably was part of the reason why it escalated so much. What I have seen from this experience is that it does get bad really, really quickly. When they say in those breastfeeding classes, if you don't feel right, get help as soon as possible, like that is no exaggeration, and I know it now. So now that I know my baby is going to be slowly weaning off breastfeeding, I'm kind of scared that this will happen again. A lactation consultant did talk to me at the hospital, and she did say because we don't feed overnight, that is a 12-13 hour window where you don't feed, but you're feeding every 3 to 4 hours during the day. Your body is still making that milk. And so I need to be pumping or at least expressing overnight, so then you're not like, until your body gets used to that. I'm not sharing my story as like a fear-mongering kind of thing, but I just want to share something that happened to me and apparently is very common based on what I read on Reddit. So I wanted to tell my story just in case that this happens to you, and if it does, please go to a doctor. You do not want it to get as bad as mine did. If you have any questions, let me know below, and I'll see you in the next one.